Less than 2 weeks after his short-lived martial law decree, South Korea's president has been impeached and suspended. Yoon Suk Yeol says he'll step aside as the country's constitutional court now considers his future.
Celebrations on the streets of Seoul as South Korean lawmakers vote to impeach their president, Yoon Suk Yeol. 204 MPs voted in favour of the impeachment process, with 85 backing the now suspended president. Shock rippled through the National Assembly as the Speaker made the declaration. An estimated 200,000 people gathered on the streets outside Parliament, demanding the removal of the increasingly unpopular president, whose approval ratings have plummeted to just 11%.
I'm so moved, and I think the people won.
It was less than 2 weeks ago that Yoon Suk Yeol announced martial law, plunging the country into a state of anger and his career into political crisis. It was retracted just 6 hours later, after lawmakers unanimously voted it down. Speaking following the impeachment vote, Yoon said he would fight for the country to the very end.
I may pause for a moment now, but the journey toward the future, which I have walked with the people over the past 2.5 years, must never come to a halt. I will never give up.
It's now up to the country's constitutional court to decide on Yoon's future. It has 6 months to consider whether to remove him from office or reject the impeachment and restore his powers.
Well, a little earlier, I spoke to Joon Park in Seoul. He's a junior correspondent working for Korea Pro. That's a South Korean news analysis website. Let's take a listen.
Thanks for having me back. The 300-seat National Assembly, they voted 204 to 85 for the impeachment, the first such vote in 8 years. And as you mentioned, Yoon just announced that he would step aside but won't give up. What Yoon is essentially talking about, he's talking about the Constitutional Court ruling that still needs to be deliberated. That it still has 180 days to decide whether to deliberate the Parliament's decision that it will either remove Yoon from office or have him reinstated, a early snap election if approved, and Yoon's effectively still leaving hope for a chance.
All right, okay, but there are thousands of protesters out on the streets of Seoul, including supporters of Yoon. So tell us a little bit more about the reaction and what it's been like.
Yeah, I was just at the protest and the demonstration right in front of the National Assembly, which is not for Yoon. It's definitely for Yoon's impeachment. And as soon as Yoon's impeachment vote was announced to have passed with 204 votes, the elation and the fervor for democracy and also happiness on the ground was quite evident. People were crying, hugging, very much happy for the vote's release, and they started calling it a people's victory. As we've seen throughout, and as you can see in the video, K-pop light sticks, they lit up in different colors near the National Assembly. Protesters, they broke into song Into the New World by Girls' Generation straight after the vote was announced. However, of course, there has been support for Yoon considerably. Another mass rally that was staged in Gwanghwamun Square, the Seoul city center, in support of Yoon, it turned tense, and some very disappointed participants reportedly started moving away after news of the motion's passage, and there's still quite a political divide.
Zooming out a little bit, we don't have a huge amount of time left, but what does all of this mean for South Korea's democracy?
Yeah, South Korean democracy, it's shown that it can persevere. We've seen that the president, he's declared martial law on, and he's defended it by saying that he was trying to root out pro-North Korean forces, and he gave the evidence of an election fraud that is still left to be having proof of evidence. So the martial law and the grounds for martial law, as indicted by Article 77 of our country's constitution, it's not yet satisfied. So I think that's what goes forward. And democracy, as many people on the ground have said, have prevailed.
Right, and we'll be keeping a close eye on developments there in South Korea. Joon Ha Park reporting from Seoul. Great to have you on the show today.